Well, there's a growing debate this week about whether new EPA guidelines will cause rolling blackouts. The EPA, already closing down more than 30 power plants nationwide, with plans to shut down another 30 when these new regulations take effect. The EPA says the closures are long overdue, but critics warn the changes could threaten America's energy supply. Myron Ebell, he's the director of Energy and Global Warming Policy, Competitive Enterprise Institute, and Steve Moore is senior economics writer for the Wall Street Journal. Gentlemen, thanks for being here.
Hi, Allison.
Hi, Steve. I want to start with you. According to the Associated Press, they did a survey on this new policy. They find that 32 coal-fired power plants in a dozen states will be forced to shut down, and an additional 36 may have to close because of these new federal air pollution regulations. What will this do to electricity in all of these states?
Well, I think it's going to cause a couple of problems. One is you are going to find, in my opinion, the potential for rolling blackouts, which is a big problem when Americans lose access to their electricity, as many Americans found out this summer during the storm season. But the other problem with closing down these coal-burning fire plants is that you're going to have higher electricity prices. And that means, Allison, at a time when American middle-class families are being so strained, you're going to have higher utility bills that they have to pay for their electricity. So I think this is a very problematic policy. I think it's against the middle class. And I think, finally, Allison, it's part of an Obama administration strategy, what I call the war against fossil fuels. They don't want coal, they don't want oil, and they don't want natural gas.
Myron, on the flip side, of course, the AP did this investigation and found that the average age of these plants is 51 years old. They have not been subject to any sort of modern updating. Is it time for some of these to close?
No, not at this time. I don't think so. What Steve said, Allison, is correct. I mean, these plants are providing the cheapest power produced in the country. The more of them we close down, the higher electric rates are going to go up. That's going to take money out of consumers' pockets. It's also going to cause manufacturing to decline in this country. The problem here is that this is just part, as Steve said, of a war on fossil fuels. It's a war to save the world from global warming. And the result of that is that this is just one piece of a very large strategy, essentially, to kill the American economy, put a lot of people out of jobs on the grounds that it will improve a few people's health. I don't think we're going to see much improvement as long as the EPA is allowed to keep doing these things.
But Steve, I mean, on the flip side, go ahead. I mean, because I do want you to address the environmental concerns if these things are belching out smoke. What are we to make of that?
Well,
hold on, let Steve answer. Go ahead.
Yes. So if they are belching out smoke and they're in violation of the Clean Air Act amendments, then I think that some of them should be closed down. The problem I have, Allison, is what if we're going to close down 60 coal plants in the next year? That's a lot of plants. That serves almost 10% of American electricity consumers. We should be transitioning, in my opinion, from coal to a much, much cleaner fuel, which is natural gas. The problem is the administration is also trying to stop fracking process so that we don't get access to natural gas. At the same time, you know, we in this show about the pipeline. They don't want that pipeline built for oil. What do they want? They don't want nuclear. They don't want coal. They don't want natural gas. And they don't want oil. I mean, they don't want power at all, in my opinion.
Myron, what's the answer to that?
Well, the answer is that we do need to keep building new power plants. The problem is, and I think Steve has got this right, utilities are being required to build a lot of windmills and solar panels and invest all their money in that. There's very little power produced by windmills and solar panels, and it's not produced when demand is highest. So what's happening is the utility industry is not investing in the things that actually produce power, like new natural gas, new coal, and new nuclear plants. So we're going to, as long as our economy struggles, we don't have a big problem. But if we start growing again, we are going to have those blackouts.
Myron Ebell, Steve Moore, thanks so much for coming in to talk about this controversial topic.
Thanks, Allison.
Thank you.
All right, Iranian